Hi, I'm Jody Adams. Welcome to Rialto, and I have a guest here today, Chris Edelman, with me, and we are going to make a whole roasted fish under salt with the salsa verde. And Chris first is going to walk us through how to look for a fish, what kind of fish we're using, why we're using it, how to clean a fish, all of that.
Terrific. So, what we're going to work with today is we're going to work with a fish that is known in France as dorade royale, in Portugal as arata, Italy arata. It is a species of fish that is prized to the Mediterranean.
It's beautiful.
In this case, this fish left Corsica yesterday. It arrived in Boston this morning.
Amazing.
It's a 400 to 600 gram fish.
And what does that mean in pounds, Chris?
A pound, which is the right size to roast a fish for home. Nice eyes.
Nice eyes.
Nice red gills. Nice firm fish. Nice moist fins. This is going to be delicious.
And that's what we're looking for.
Perfect fish for what you're doing here. What's also nice about it is because we're going to roast this fish today with the scales on.
Yes.
The scales on this fish are very, very small, and they tend to become very delicate and a part of the dish.
Okay, so let's get started on that fish. What do you do first?
Okay, the first thing you're going to do always after we've selected our fish is we're going to hit the sink and we're going to give this thing a good rinse, because anything that's on the outside of the fish is certainly going to work its way to the inside of the fish. We want to make sure we've taken any bacteria off the fish and we've got a clean fish.
So, and just to clarify this, cold running water is going to take, because you don't want to use warm water to rinse the fish.
Cold running water, and you just be careful with your hands. Always move your hands head to tail on a fish. We've got all types of dorsal spines and pectoral spines.
Those are the things that can hurt you.
Exactly.
So now you're going to show us the yucky part.
That's right.
All right, how do you clean the gut out of the fish?
This is something you don't have to be afraid of doing at home. It's okay. A fresh fish like this, it's not going to smell up your refrigerator, it's not going to smell up your house. It's just going to be interesting for a moment or two.
Right, but generally speaking, when you buy a fish at a fishmonger's, they've already done the gutting of the fish, right?
A good fishmonger will do whatever you ask him to do to a fish. So we've got a lot of terminology. In this case, we are going to gut and gill this fish, but not scale it.
Okay, so let's see.
All right. His head's aiming to the left, which is very nice for presentation, but at the moment, I'm going to spin his head the opposite direction, because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the gills.
And why do you want to remove the gills?
You want to remove the gills because the gill is essentially the first point of entry for the fish for its ability to breathe, and which is to say that anything that's making in this body is getting filtered through the gills. So not only is it a source of bacteria and things that you don't want to eat, it is unsavory, it is...
It's bitter.
It's bitter.
It's actually bitter if it stays on the fish.
You can't chew it, and it's not going to taste very good.
Okay.
All right, so I've got the fish here, and the first cut I'm going to make is going to be down towards the back of the head. I'm going to get my knife here in between the gill, like that, right? I'm just going to be slicing down a little bit until I can just feel a little bit of a pop on that side.
Right, and this is where when you see a bloody fish, that's where the blood comes from.
That's where the blood comes from, and that bright red gill there, that's the sign of freshness, okay? So the next cut I'm going to make is I'm going to come back through the other side, all right?
So you're cutting like right at the chin bone above
the throat.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to come out the other way.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm going to gut the fish.
Sorry,
so I'm going to come in right down here, and there's a little opening here.
At the lower opening.
Right in between the two fins. And I'm just going to make one nice little slice right here until the knife doesn't want to go any further.
Now, can you puncture anything? If the knife goes in too far, could you puncture something and cause a problem?
If you push a knife in too deep, you can essentially rupture everything that's inside of the fish.
Yeah,
and in a wild fish, you could have a lot of things inside of the fish that you don't want
including fish.
Including fish, including lobsters, including oysters. So a shallow knife is a good way to go.
Okay.
So I've made my two cuts. I've now started with the guts. So the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to work from tail to head. I'm going to get my fingers in here, and I'm just going to give this a scoop. And it's that easy.
Yum.
There's nothing that needs to be cut away in a small fish like this. I'm just going to give it a scoop, and that is it. That's the entire contents. I'm going to come back through now here, and I'm going to hook my finger through this gill here. And I'm going to reach right through the other side, and I'm going to take this gill, and it's just coming out just like that.
That's easy.
That's the end of the bloodbath. Not the most pleasant thing going on in the world, but at the end of the day.
So it's nice. It's essentially empty, and you just have to give it a rinse.
It's empty, and what's nice about it is the way it's connected to the top here by the bone. That's natural. It's going to let you put something inside of this fish and hold it together.
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Perfect. Okay, so now we need to give ourselves a rinse.
Shall we wash this fish off? Okay.
Okay. So what's next, Chris?
We've cleaned the fish off. We've dried it off. And part tradition and part technique, we should cut the fins off this fish.
Yeah, I think people have it's hard to maneuver with them.
It's hard to
particularly
maneuver.
to fillet it when you have these guys on.
When it comes time to filleting it, absolutely. Yeah. When it comes time to poking fingers, and it's just tradition.
Okay.
So what we're going to do first here, pectoral fin. I'm just going to give that a little snip with some kitchen shears. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do the same thing on the other side. Little snip, and get rid of that. This right here, pelvic fin.
Pelvic.
We'll
Pectoral, pelvic.
Pelvic fin, right? Same thing on that down there, right there. And the last thing we'll do is we'll go right along the top, which is
dorsal.
The dorsal fin, yes.
Dorsal up on top.
So right like this.
On some fish, that's the most. I think that's the most beautiful part of the fish. Like
Absolutely.
a rouget that has an orange one, it's gorgeous. And what about? We don't worry about this. What's this little one called?
That's the caudal fin, or actually, that's the caudal fin. This one we're not going to discuss what that's what it's called.
Okay. That's the other fin. Okay, so the fish is ready to go.
Fish is ready to go.
And I'm going to wait to season it because I'm going to make the spiced salt that we're going to actually pack it in. And it's nice to put a little of that in the cavity as well.
Okay.
This is a very old-fashioned way of cooking fish.
Yeah.
I think it's actually one of the original sous vide, right?
I think so.
It's just completely encased in salt. The fish is completely encased in salt, and it gives it it pressure cooks it to a certain extent and steams it, and all the flavors stay there. And in addition, we're going to season the salt and impart some flavors through that, and stuff the cavity of the fish with some herbs. Now, you can do this with a nice coarse sea salt. Or you can do it with kosher salt, which is what we're going to do today, because I think that this kosher salt is less expensive and easier to find. You can moisten it with water or
or egg whites.
Egg whites. I like to do it with egg whites. So I'm going to just whip these egg whites just until they're frothy, not until they hold 6 feet. Okay. So just frothy like that.
So this is a 1 pound fish, and we're making a salt crust.
We're making a salt crust.
How many egg whites?
This has about 6 egg whites and 4 cups of salt.
4 cups of salt, okay.
Yeah. And I have 1/4 cup each, toasted and ground fennel seed.
Fennel seed.
Toasted and ground coriander. These are very much flavors that you'd find in the Mediterranean, so it will go beautifully with the fish. And then I'm going to add the zest of a lemon that's been scrubbed.
You're just going for the yellow part of the lemon,
Just the yellow part. Okay. And now there's the salt. And you want to grab the whisk?
Yes.
And whisk in the salt.
Okay, so now at this point, it's getting pasty.
It's getting pasty.
It's making itself into almost a dough, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like a salt dough. I mean, you know, you can also do this with a pastry, a pastry with a high salt content, so flour and water and salt. It's also done with clay, you know, that's packed around.
Now, at this point, I can't overmix this or undermix this.
No,
We're
it
just
doesn't really matter.
trying to get the ingredients combined?
Just the ingredients combined.
Okay, how did I do?
It's gorgeous.
Good?
Gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to get a pan.
Okay.
And you're going to open up the fish.
I'm going to open the fish.
So I can put a little pepper in.
Okay.
And that's actually white pepper. You can use black pepper as well. A couple of bay leaves.
Okay.
Some lemon slices.
Lemon slices. Okay.
If you can fit an entire lemon in there, that'd be nice. I'm going to put in a couple of fennel fronds. I think that's nice. If you don't have them, you don't need to use them. But I think it goes with the fennel seeds. And then thyme, a couple of thyme sprigs. There we go. Okay. So you put about a cup of salt down. You want to make a nice...
Making a little bed for the fish.
A little bed for the fish. Okay, and then you pop that guy on top. It's about 1/4 inch of salt.
You've made his bed.
Now he can lie in it. And it's a bit like building a sandcastle. Or if you've ever buried your feet in the sand, that's what this is.
This is not pastry work. This is not science. We're getting the fish covered in salt.
Yeah.
This is nothing to stress out over or worry about.
No.
Okay. But now you can do this like for a dinner party or something like that, this would be
very dramatic.
This would be a really, really neat
Yeah.
kind of old world thing to break out at the table.
And you can do it with chicken.
But it's so easy.
And chicken, yeah. It goes into a 400-degree oven.
400-degree oven.
For about 35 minutes, depending on the fish.
Top of the oven, middle of the oven,
I would do the middle of the
right
oven.
In the middle. Okay.
Middle of the oven, and you can temp the fish. You want it to be at about 120 when you pull it out, and then it should rest for about 10 minutes before you crack it.
Clean the fish. We made the dough. We stuffed the fish. We packed it. That's it. In the oven.
That's it, into the oven.
Okay.
Okay, Chris, this is the time of reckoning.
This is the time of reckoning.
Let's see how we did. We took the temperature. It was at 120.
On the button.
We let it rest for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And now we're going to crack it open and see what we have inside. This is the kind of thing you want to do with kids, because this is really fun.
This is the theatrical part.
Yeah, let's see.
So if we do this right, this is going to be very
You do it.
exciting.
And if you screw it up, it's on you.
Okay. So let's see. I'm going to crack the salt crust. Right. And then we're just gonna pick this crust off the fish, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it really formed a dough. It's actually it's pretty hard. Oh, look at that.
Isn't that beautiful? That is gorgeous. And
wow, look at that.
It kind of dries out the skin, but so you definitely need the skin and the scales there to protect it. It makes sense to keep the scales on.
It's roasted on the outside and it's dry, but it's stewing and it's moist. That's terrific.
Okay.
So we got the crust off.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to let you take care of this and do a beautiful job of taking off the skin and filleting it. Let's see.
Yeah, let's take the skin off. Let's get the fillets off the fish and go from there. All right. Well, I said let's move head to tail. Let's move head to tail.
Okay.
All right. So let's see if I can't be clever here.
Look how moist that is.
Oh, wow, look at that. Okay, so, you know, and I don't think there's any particular technique to this, Jody. I think this is just a matter of getting it done.
Yeah, there is. There you go.
Apparently that is the technique, right there.
It comes, yeah. Okay. Isn't that beautiful?
And that is
and that we don't want to throw that away because that's got meat. Tasty.
But I'll tell you what, it's pretty interesting that what's naturally happening to the fillet is what we're trying to do when we cut fish every day, because it's trimmed itself up to the point where that's what you eat, which makes sense.
That's like butter. This is like butter.
This is something that I really like to do. You shouldn't be intimidated by this. This is so easy.
Okay.
There's bones. I like to use the back of a spoon, all right? And we're just going to kind of loosen up a little on the head, and then you can feel this bone line. I'm just going to take this spoon, and I'm just going to kind of very gently. You see what's happening? The way the spoon's just going right underneath the fish? That's essentially what we do when we're cutting the fish, but now it's cooked, so it's just going to slide right off in theory. So I think I'm loosened up. I think I'm going to grab this right here now at this point. I'm going to come through, and I'm going to come right down the frame here. And shall we flip it? Presentation side up?
Yes.
Okay. This side is going to be a different one, because now that we've taken that flow, that's everything that's in there. Look how juicy that is in there. Almost like sauce.
But now you just take this bone up.
This side of fish, just pick this bone up right here, and you can get it by the tail. And once you separate it,
actually, these lemons.
Once you separate this out,
really
watch what's happening. You just go like that.
Easy.
And then the bone is right out of there.
And everything stays in the cavity.
In the cavity. And now, let's do the honors here and see if we can't get this fillet right up out of the fish, just like that, and like that.
Put it over here.
You want to put it over here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because this is enough for two people.
Sure.
So you want it to be.
Sure.
Okay, and then we have fennel fronds, chervil, which I love. And these lemon slices, I mean, I cut some fresh lemon slices, but these slices that came straight out of the fish are delicious as well, but you could put some fresh lemon. We have the salsa verde. Let's see where you want to do that. And I roasted some little baby potatoes while the fish was cooking that we can put right on here. Salsa verde there. Ooh, nice. That's what we call that. That technical term is a schmear.
A schmear.
A schmear. That's
a schmear.
It. So we might want just a little garnish on the schmear.
And then you can't have a schmear without a dollop.
A dollop.
A dollop and a schmear.
Okay. I think.
That's lovely. It's Light
Here,
Mediterranean.
beauteous.